Wow, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for being here as I'm trying to finish up my job, getting the shows ready. I'm not always as good at this as I think I am. Let's see, I did it. There we go. Now the live chat is on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Paranormal Portal. It is your weekend. Hopefully, if you're doing the normal work week and / weekend, then this is yours. And so you've earned it. Make sure to kick back, relax, and be extraordinarily selfish because, by God, you give of yourself all week. Now's your time. And hoist them if you got them, know what I'm saying? But we have a great show lined up for you guys. Of course, I would never start the show and go, man, I didn't do anything for you guys. No, there's a lot of good stuff on the board tonight. We've got a lot of ground to cover. But before I go any further, I'm going to have to introduce the spirit of the big branch himself, Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing, buddy? And he's muted, probably.
No, just kidding. I'm here. I just wanted to I just wanted to get that vibe that I'm a spirit and not,
Boy, I need more of that. Let me tell you, I've had a day. I've had a real day. Just a lot of issues and troubleshooting and problem solving. And I got through some of it, got some solutions to parts and pieces, but I still have pieces that I'm trying to piece together. And it's a hell of a journey. But thank you all for being here most of all. It means the world that you guys take part of your weekend and spend it here with us. That's always amazing. And we really, really appreciate that. Also, I would like to, as long as I'm thanking, let's give thanks to Cryptid Coin, ladies and gentlemen, the cryptocurrency that is sponsor of the Paranormal Portal, at least a sponsor. And they are here helping us out, and we're trying to give them some exposure because I know a lot of people are looking at cryptocurrencies as possible investments due to uncertainty in a lot of fiat currencies and institutions. So I don't know whether cryptid coin is right for you or not, but I encourage you to look into it. You can find out a lot more about cryptid coin by heading over to cryptidcoin.io and see what you guys think. And hopefully it'll be exactly what you need. But special thank you to Cryptid Coin for sponsoring the Paranormal Portal. I do appreciate it bunches. And yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic opportunity, I think, but I'm not an advisor, so I can't tell you what's a good move or not. But I'm just thrilled that they're a part of the family here on the Paranormal Portal. So check them out if you would. And yeah, Sheldon's going to be a ghost tonight. Again, because I can't figure out why the updated version of my production software doesn't see his camera right now like it used to. When they updated it, they broke about 15 other things too that I've had to work through, but I still haven't solved the camera issue yet. But I can assure you, Sheldon looks the same as he did last time you saw him, and so yeah, that'll keep
even a little better.
Maybe even a little better. You're right. It's possible. It's very possible. So, but how you doing, Sheldon?
I'm doing fantastic. Feeling the chill here in Minnesota as fall approaches, and I'm excited. What's your opinion on the chill of fall and winter?
I'm in misery. I hate it. I love the Halloween season. I really do, but I'd love the Halloween season even more if it was warmer. I guess part of the problem is for some reason lately it's like the switching of the seasons used to be this gradual kind of, one flows into the other, but now it's just like on cartoons, you ever see that thing where it's a sunny day and all of a sudden this blanket of snow just falls from the sky and everything's winter? That's what it feels like now. That's the way the season changes are feeling like, oh, wait, I wasn't ready yet, and I'm never ready anyway, but it's one thing when you can kind of wean yourself out of the shorts and t-shirt and into, jeans and a long sleeve shirt and then, wearing socks. But man, it's like right from tropical to, Arctic. It's just freaking crazy. Was your fall really abrupt like that too?
Yeah, it just kind of all of a sudden hit in the 40s, and then and then it got hot, and then now it's back in the 40s again. Yeah,
we just haven't got that hot part yet. We've had cold and rainy, so
it'll come. Don't worry.
Oh no, it's the Pacific Inland Northwest where our Halloween is often spent under an umbrella. So
oh no,
nothing says fun like that. So yeah, Jake says he's not ready either. No doubt, Jake. I'm telling you. I'm meant for warm and welcoming climates, not for the cold anymore. I did the cold for a lot of years. And when I was younger, I mean, we were outside in the snow and skiing and doing, ice skating and fishing, ice fishing, all that stuff all the time. But as I've gotten older, it's like, oh no, I think I'll just stay here by the furnace. I don't know if it's a circulation thing or it's just part of getting old, but man, I'm telling you, I'm just not made for cold anymore. But do
we have a call?
No, just me so far.
Okay.
I'm not ready for calls yet. Anyway, because we gotta do the news. Are you ready?
Always.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go to the Paranormal Portal news desk now and see what's going on. We're going to California soon. Good for you, Jake. Yeah, enjoy it for me too.
Nice. Yeah.
Send me a postcard or something to remind me what the worm looks like. All right, let's go to the news. This is the most trusted news source, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal news desk, the most trusted news source. The bum 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 was me, saying, basically mimicking the song that the YouTube people are hearing. For some reason, it doesn't translate over to the networks, and so I got to fill in the blanks as creatively as I know how. So anyway, that's why I played the applause, so you guys aren't listening to absolutely nothing. But Jake says they're going there for the winter. Jake, adopt me. Take me with you. Oh my God. Oh, I know you will, Jake. You'll have to email me, brother. I'll give you a method of doing that. But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk, and we are going to dive into a whole handful of news reports that I pulled up for your viewing pleasure or listening pleasure, depending on how you're enjoying the Paranormal Portal right now. But as always, we rely pretty heavily on a site called unexplained-mysteries.com. First and foremost, let me please express to you to go support this site. It's just a phenomenal site. They do an amazing job encapsulating news and of different sorts, not just the weird and bizarre stuff, but science, technology, astronomy, nature. They have just so many different topic areas, and they're covering all this news. Oftentimes, I'm learning the brand new news stuff way earlier than you're hearing it from other sources from unexplained-mysteries.com. These guys are on the ball. So check it out again, unexplained-mysteries.com. Help support what they're doing, and let them know how much you love the site. So unexplained-mysteries.com brings us the first article, which is ancient structure near Prague is older than Stonehenge and the pyramids. Whoa, that's pretty old. Sheldon, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on unexplained-mysteries.com looking at the article right now.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully so are the people on YouTube. Those of you listening along on the networks, you can certainly go over to unexplained-mysteries.com and check it out yourself. Archaeologists believe that the mysterious structure was built around 7,000 years ago. Now, I will say this, that I'm not sure that they're so adept at dating these things, because I think the pyramids and the Sphinx are much older than what they think they are. And I don't know what they're basing that on, or what measurement or what criteria, but I've heard, even claims back into the, nearly 100,000 years or 50,000 years or 20,000 years for the Great Pyramids. So it's anybody's guess. I don't pretend to be even able to argue the point with any merit, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of claims out there. So I think 7,000 years or 8,000 years, which is generally attributed to the Great Pyramids, is pretty shallow. I think it's probably deeper than that personally. But it says, situated near Prague in the Czech Republic, this ancient structure was first discovered by construction workers back in the 1980s, but it was not until relatively recently that its full significance was realized. Known as the Wiener Roundel, the building was circular in shape and around 180 feet in diameter. It isn't clear what it was used for, but it had been speculated that local farming communities may have once gathered there, and it was thought to be linked to a Neolithic settlement situated nearby. The most startling thing about it, though, is its age. Archaeologists now believe that it dates back as much as 7,000 years to the time of the stroked pottery culture. What the hell? What is exactly the stroked pottery? I don't even know what to do with that. But culture, which existed in Europe between 4900 BCE and 4400 BCE. I think BCE is before Common Era, but I don't know. Is that the same thing as like BC and AD? Is that just a new way of saying it, or is that a different? Does the BC whatever's after that? Or I guess it would be BCE and then CE. Is that at the same point? It's just new ways of naming it, or is it a different timeline basis? I don't understand what that means. So I've been seeing it more and more, but I really don't understand what it means. So if anybody knows out there, let me know. Roundels are the oldest evidence of architecture in the whole of Europe, said Jaroslav Rydke, spokesperson for the Institute of Archaeology of the Czech Academy of Sciences. Little is actually known about the nature and purpose of these structures, other than that they likely served as some sort of communal gathering place. Their size was also impressive, especially given that the people who built them only had access to primitive stone tools. Around 4600 BCE, however, evidence of roundels disappeared from the archaeological record, and it remains unclear why the people of the time stopped building them. It is hoped that further analysis of the Wiener Roundel will help to reveal more about how it was made and what the people of the time might have actually used it for. Well, that is interesting. Again, this is the same reason why I don't use or I don't consider the fossil record to be this authoritative compendium of what has existed. It is just essentially the fossil record is what has been found. what has been found.
Never finished.
Right. And it's constantly expanding, and they're constantly editing and changing and adapting it to new information. And so when people say, well, there's no evidence of that in the fossil record, it's like, well, yeah, that's just fine. Because there isn't evidence of even like chimpanzees in the fossil record, but we know they're here. So anyway, I think that's interesting. Go ahead.
Also, before I looked up what BCE means, it's before the Christian era, before the Common Era, used to refer to the years that came before the birth of Jesus Christ. So it's just another way of saying BC.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for doing that, because I've always had that floating in my head, like, what the hell is BCE? I don't know what that means, but now I know that it's just another way of saying that same thing. Okay, thank you. That does help. All right.
Oh, yeah, Ghost Maggot said that too. All right.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Ghost Maggot. Appreciate that. I'm not watching chat, obviously, because I'm reading, but let's get to the next article here on the newscast. And this is from, again, unexplained-mysteries.com. And I want to point out, too, that they've actually got a book for sale from unexplained-mysteries.com. And I'm not paid by these guys or anything, but I just think for as much work as they put into the site, the least I can do is try to promote some things. But if you look over here, they got a whole compendium book of the weird news by T.K. Randall, and you can check it out. We cover several of their weird news stories here on the show, but there's so many more, and they're so amazingly weird that it would be a fun book to get a hold of. So definitely check that out as well. So here's the next article, rather, is renewed calls for Prince Philip's Royal X-Files to be released. Yeah, I know Prince Philip, who was, of course, the Queen's husband, was a real big UFO extraterrestrial buff and was very, very interested in this topic. So did he have records? Probably. Let's see what it says, though. Following the Queen's death, there have been calls for Prince Philip's UFO investigation files to be released to the public. Until 2009, the UK Ministry of Defense, MOD, actively investigated the UFO phenomena, but it wasn't just government officials who were interested in the topic. The late Prince Philip, who died in 2021 at the age of 99, held quite a fascination for the subject as well. The Duke allegedly first became interested in UFOs after his uncle, Lord Mountbatten, I guess that's how you say it, Mountbatten, wrote an official report about a strange object that landed at his estate in Romsey, Hampshire, back in 1955. In it, he described witnessing a saucer-shaped craft which hovered just above the ground before a strange man wearing overalls and a helmet descended to the ground. He was then knocked off his bike and pinned to the floor by an invisible force. The report was only made public after Mountbatten's death in 1979. To keep up to date with the subject, Prince Philip had reportedly maintained a subscription to the journal Flying Saucer Review and even looked over military reports about the phenomena. The books he owned about the UFO included the Holt Perspective. I wonder if that's Charles Holt, having to do with Rendleshire, or whatever it is, which details the I just got to keep reading and I'll get my own answers. Details the experiences of Colonel Charles Holt, Rendlesham, that's what it was, who was one of the main witnesses during the infamous 1980 Rendlesham Forest incident, an event often described as Britain's Roswell. Well, there was no wreckage, I don't think. But anyway, due to Philip's secretary was alleged to have written the book to the book's co-author, retired West Midlands detective John Hanson, to express the Duke's interest in reading it. He also was thought to have owned a copy of Haunted Skies, the Encyclopedia of British UFOs, and over the years, he reportedly built up quite an archive of documents, records, investigative material pertaining to the phenomena, yet none of this ever saw the light of day during the Queen's reign. Now, though, there have been renewed calls for Prince Philip's Royal X-Files to be released to the public so that interested parties can review everything that he had discovered. Whether the new king will ever actually consent to such a move, however, remains unclear. Well, I got to tell you, and this isn't, this is just me, but let's say I had a grandpa or something, or my father had collected a bunch of books, and then after he passed, a bunch of people said, "Hey, we want you to release that so we can see it." I'd be like, hell no. This is something that was passionate to him, and it means something to me. So I don't know why people would make the claim that they should have access to it. That's kind of a bold thing to ask. I mean, if he was doing it in an official capacity, that's fine. But he's a duke. It's a what is it? A ceremonial title. It's not an actual title of authority. So I don't know. Just my take on it, but I'd be like,
that would be the perfect time to release it, though, after the release of our military's footage.
Sure, but there's no compulsion for them to do it. I mean, it's just because he was interested in it doesn't mean that suddenly everybody should have access to that because they're interested in it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bold ask because it's not like he was in charge of the government stuff. Now, maybe he had access to things that other people don't just by virtue of his ceremonial title or position. But still, I don't know. That's kind of a curious request. Maybe I don't understand the nature of the monarchy and how it interrelates with the current, the events in the UK and abroad. But, to me, I just thought, well, I think it's, just a ceremonial thing. Of course, I hear the claims, the claims of all these fantastical claims about the royal family. I'm familiar with all of those things, but, I don't know. Again, the paranormal is filled with claims, lots and lots of claims. And I don't know. I can't subscribe to everything. I try to keep an open mind, but there's some things that are just like, wow, really? Maybe. Is
it the case that the royal family is kind of beholden to its government type of thing, and it's just more of a status symbol?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. A ceremonial thing. So
right.
it's more of a nostalgic monarchy, meaning that of course it was a monarchy for hundreds of years or whatever, or thousands even, but hundreds. But the fact that it continues is only as a ceremonial role. In other words, it's a nostalgic reminder of the history, a living reminder of the history of England. I think is. This is me looking on the outside looking in. I'm not claiming to be any kind of authority on the monarchy and such and its role, but that's what I understand is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Maggie says that's correct. It's tradition mainly, and Diane Fowler says yes, friends. So
okay,
it sounds like that is the case.
Well, good. I'm glad I'm not talking like an idiot here. I mean, more of an idiot, I should say. I think I do the idiot role pretty well anyway, but yeah, I think it's to ask, hey, can I go rifle through your dad's stuff? That's a big ask.
Yeah, especially when it was his wish to kind of keep it secret too. It'd be kind of going against his.
Or it's just personal. I mean, hey, I'd like to give this to the family because this is part of who I am, and it's for them, not for everybody. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's just, again, it's me on the outside looking in, but it's a big ask. Can I go rifle through your dad's drawers now that he's gone?
yeah, true. It's kind of in bad taste, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, maybe they'll get their hands on it. Maybe we'll all learn something from it, but just my 2 cents. All right, the next one up from unexplained-mysteries.com is this one has to do with another lake monster we don't hear as much about as Nessie, but has Lake Champlain's monster Champ been picked up on sonar? Ooh. A research group has posted up footage of what appears to be a sonar hit of a large creature swimming in the lake. Spanning parts of New York State, Vermont, and Quebec, Lake Champlain is home to an elusive cryptozoological enigma not dissimilar to that of Scotland's Loch Ness. The legend is believed to date back to 1609 when Samuel de Champlain, I'm not sure, Champlain, wrote an account of the serpent-like creature measuring 5 feet long with large teeth, the body as thick as a man's thigh, and tough silver gray scales that his blade could not penetrate. But 5 feet isn't really that huge, right? I was thinking it was the size of a boat or something, but no, that's pretty tiny. These days, the lake remains a popular tourist destination, and stories of the creature, nicknamed Champ, have endured for decades. Now, a group of researchers who have spent years searching for the evidence of the creature believe that they may have found some of their strongest evidence to date in the form of sonar hit showing a large creature swimming beneath the lake's surface on September 10th. According to the video, the unidentified creature was 20 feet in length. Yeah, that's more serious. What is interesting is that the sonar reading appears to exhibit evidence of a flipper-like appendage used to propel the creature, whatever it is, though, through the water. Of course, it's impossible to say for sure that the sonar actually picked up, but it's certainly intriguing. The footage, which was captured by Champ Search researcher Katie Elizabeth, can be viewed below. With sonar hits, it's not like you're getting a video. You may get a series of hits that give you an idea of what's going on. But after watching that show River Monsters with Jeremy Wade and seeing some of the crap he pulls out of rivers, it's
God, yeah. Oh, gee. Some of those fish are insane.
I know. That's like, even out of like the Mississippi, I was like, huh? I mean, they're catfish the size of a beetle, a car, It's like, oh my God. No wonder people go missing in the waters, and it's not just drowning. They're probably getting sucked into stuff.
Oh God, yeah. It makes you think like, oh my God, we were swimming with these things.
And you see some of the sturgeon people are pulling a 10-foot long sturgeon. Are you serious? That's enormous. That could eat you. I don't know that they would. I think they're just kind of bottom suckers, but still, that's definitely not a comforting thought. So there's a lot in these waters. It may not be cryptozoological, but there's some giants down there, some very ancient fish that have been around for a long time, maybe 100 or so years, and they get enormous. I'm talking like sturgeon, catfish, channel cats, and other types like paddle nose fish. Those things are bizarre. I used to see those get washed up on the shore every once in a while, and I thought I was looking at a shark. I didn't know what the hell it was. It was crazy. But yeah, just a bunch of wild stuff. So 20 feet is pretty significant, though, for this Lake Champlain monster. That's pretty bizarre.
Oh, yeah. That's giant.
Yeah, but seeing the stuff that Jeremy Wade pulled out of a lot of different bodies of water around really woke me up. It's like, yeah. Here I am getting dragged trying to learn to water ski in the water. I'm like a big lure. Yeah.
Easy to catch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, might as well just chum the water before I started, Good God.
Well, you know what? That's, some of the things he pulls up in freshwater makes you think like,
that's what I'm saying.
Imagine what's in the ocean.
Oh yeah. I mean, God, you got,
oh God.
There's probably lobsters down there the size of your couch. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally, who knows? There's the giant octopuses and stuff. Yeah, there's crazy stuff. And apparently a kraken might be.
I'm sorry, before you go on to the next article, just for education purposes, Digger Dog says the Queen has the power to veto any bill passed through Parliament. The Queen also has the ability to grant a royal pardon. That makes sense. I've heard of that before.
Okay.
And the Queen can where is it?
Or king now, as Charles is now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the king would have that ability now. The king now has the ability to command the armed forces.
Really?
And the queen/king is the only person in the UK who can declare war on another country.
Really? Wow, that seems geez. a lot less just ceremonial than I thought. But it sounds like they have actually quite a bit of influence still. Well, there's the bell, so that's going to conclude the news, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to more news tomorrow night. Stick around. We got more of the Paranormal Portal coming up in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
The biggest poison in us is regret.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We're back at it here. Welcome back to all of you who happen to be here listening to the dulcet tones of my relaxing voice, I hope. We are, of course, into the second half hour of our 2-hour show. So we've got a long ways to go. If you're new to the show, we are also simulcasting on tfrlive.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. So they have breaks. They have these half-hour breaks. So in order to keep everything in sync, I put music and little video segments together for you guys on YouTube. I realize they're old. I got to do some new ones. Sorry, there's just already so many hours in my days, but it's definitely on my list of to-dos. Before break, just at break, after I went to the break, I saw Jake, of course, Jake Fortes is one of our listeners who is just a great young man and has been a real big supporter of the show, as are many of you, of course. But he said, "Hey, I put a joke in the TFR chat," so I went over there and got it, and I got it on screen. Of course, this is right up Sheldon's alley.
Nice.
First one is at the top of it is kind of a quick little joke. It said, "Why couldn't the Hobbit go into the bathroom?" Sheldon, did you see it already? No?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Do you have any guesses?
I actually don't.
It was
Why?
It was occupied.
Well done, Jake.
Now, there's more to it, and I'm going to put that on screen now so you guys can see. But it's a couple picture images. First it says, "It was the best of shires. It was the worst of shires."
I'm stealing that, Jake. Well done.
Yeah, there you go. It was the best of shires. It was the worst of shires. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it. Yeah, God, this stuff you can't pay for, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind of entertainment that comes free on the Paranormal Portal. And thank you, Jake, for your submissions. All right, let's continue on. Let me do this. I gotta close these because since we have the ghost of Sheldon, I don't need the video and stuff rolling, and I don't need the extra frame. Where the hell's my other video? Oh, there it is. There we go. There it is. So Cryptid Coin is there. I'm on the screen, and the voice of Sheldon is with us. So we get a lot more of the paranormal to go. But first off, I just want you all to know that if you're a part of the Paranormal Portal community, there's also a Discord community that we have, and Sheldon set this up, and it's been a great addition. There's a lot of people over there regularly talking or sharing videos or stories about the paranormal. There's several chat threads in there, UFO, cryptozoology, or like Bigfoot, Dogman, cryptids. There's ghosts and more. So there's lots of different segments in there. And one of the new segments that Sheldon and I developed is called the Questions of the Week. And we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. But these are questions that we pose before the live shows for our Discord community to take part in and render their thoughts on the phenomenon. Again, if any of you have a question you'd like to see featured on there, let us know. The last one we did was submission from Android, and so I'm happy to pose your questions in there as well. But it's just a way to tie in the Discord community with the live shows. Sheldon, did you post a link? Yeah, you did. Thank you.
I did. Yeah.
So there's a link in the YouTube chat that is to the Discord. If you're not already a member and you have a Discord account, by all means, please get involved. We'd love to see you over there. But we're doing these questions of the week, and Sheldon, why don't you go into this question?
So this week's question is: spiritual attachments are a potential for anyone coming into contact with the supernatural. Do you think that these energies which do attach were once human? Do you think they are some other form of spiritual presence? Or do you think it can be done by all the above? Jocelyn writes, all the above.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Color writes, I would also agree that it is all the above. I remember hearing a convincing story of a woman who was in a car accident with another man on the highway. They were both life flighted.
life flighted, yeah, like helicoptered in or something.
Oh, I see.
Because
Okay.
they're in bad
So they were
place.
both life flighted to the same hospital, and he ended up passing away while she survived. She claimed to have shared an out of body experience with him in the hospital before he passed. Then, as she spent months recovering in the hospital, she said she would see him following her at times. She claims his angry spirit attached to her and followed her for years. I'm pretty sure she wrote a book about it. Wish I could remember what it was called or what podcast I heard her speak on. Wow.
Yeah, that's an intense story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Especially your spouse, right? That's wow. Fourth color also says, I know I wish I could. Oh, yeah. Just responding to your comment.
Yeah.
All right. Rachel says, I would say all the above human, animal, as in pets, and possibly elemental. For the first two, it would be familiarity with either family, pets being attached to their beloved caretaker. Yeah. Yeah. Or also in one's human, just hanging around the living because they want to be around the experiences of the still living. As for the elemental attachments, the purpose of these spiritual presences are unknown. For speculation, they might be a type of harmless, curious observer, a tourist of humans, like walking through a garden experiencing the energies of the living, like we would enjoy the various flowers in a garden. Unless there is a more sinister generational attachment to observe certain families through the decades, whether as voyeurs or consume small amounts of life energy for themselves. Ooh, that's a good point. Scowling Wolf says all the above, mainly many astral plane that we all visit, entities that are not human are, how do you say that? Parastitial?
Oh,
Is that how you say it?
I don't have it open. Here, hold on.
Oh,
Which
parastitial, I believe, at least.
one? Okay.
That's why it's a good practice to cleanse your other bodies, astral, etheric, auric, as well as your physical. Ghost Megan says, I truly don't know. I used to think some entities were once human because I have photos of...
It was parasitical.
Oh,
like a parasite.
Okay, yeah. I see. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I used to think some entities were once human because I have photos of relatives and animals that have passed. But what I suspect, though, my studies is spiritual attachment, the true attachment, and not the occasional hello of a loved one, leads itself to some other form of spiritual presence. Jesus was witness cleansing people afflicted with disease or ailments by removing the spiritual presence within or attached to the individual, like Legion. He had command of the spirits and authority over them. I'm not sure that our loved ones who are spirit forms and once human have the capacity to indwell a living being or attach and hang on, so to speak. Are the occasional manifestations of energies we experience true attachments as described and dealt with by Jesus, or an infestation of another spiritual presences? I guess I think of the attachments as indwelling, and the occasional hello, no matter how long it lasts, are the equivalent to a relative that has overstayed their welcome. So we need to define attachment in our own minds, I guess, before we can really tackle that question. That's a good point.
Yeah, it is.
Android Purity says, I think it can be either human or non-human. However, I do not personally believe in a human spirit can possess your body to the point of taking over your body to make you do things against your will, either consciously or unconsciously by blacking out. I personally believe that only non-human entities can achieve that level of power of your body and soul. But I think a human spirit can at least tag along by following you around and cause paranormal activity where you live or places you spend a lot of time. However, I think it's the only non-human entities that can take over your body or your actual thoughts, at least based off of other people's reports of attachments I have heard and based off my personal religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, these are a lot of good points, a lot of great points coming in from everyone. Dad, what do you think about the question?
I think, I do believe that there's many degrees of what it means to have an attachment, or, of course, attachment just means that something is with you, somehow connected or tethered to you. I don't know if it actually has a description, but basically these things hang around and may cause problems and stuff. There are different kinds of quote unquote possession. There's the walk-in phenomena, which I don't know what other names have been used for it, but that's what I'm familiar with. And I think the walk-in phenomena can be a human entity. I was always told by esoteric teachers of mine growing up to be careful around hospitals and bars, like liquor establishments, and around any other place like prisons and such, because those are where people are at their most damaged or low or affected, either through surgery or through ailment. They may be very weak and are susceptible to be taken over. In the case of alcohol, it was explained to me, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it's what I was always taught, was that drinking alcohol to the point of being drunk actually puts holes in your aura and makes you susceptible as well. And then, of course, prisons and other places like that, or asylums where people are, at their lowest, they are weakened by that experience as well. So you're always susceptible. Now, I have been warned by those teachers that some people feel like they were robbed of their life. It can be people that died tragically, horrifically, or whatever, or just early. They can sometimes feel like they were robbed, and that they deserve to have another life, and so they may linger at some of these places looking for an opportunity to walk in. I will tell you a story that I've shared on the show before, but at any rate, I do think that that walk-in maybe can take place over just a period of time, or it could be complete. I don't know, but of course, the demonic dark possessions, those are different. Those are very parasitic in that it's a war of attrition. They wear people down over a period of time through oppression, through surrounding them with darkness, making people feel like they'll never be happy again. They're just standing in this constant rain cloud or shadow, and they don't know why. And so it just wears them down over time. It can be manifest in other areas of their life by this oppression, and it just breaks people down until they just don't have any resistance. And then, of course, the actual possession will take place. And then, of course, there's perfect possession, which is what is described, as I understand it, as the point where there's no difference between the possessing spirit and the person themselves, like they were completely taken over. So I think it can be all of the above as well. There's one story that I was very interested in. It came from a family member, and she was here visiting a few years back. And she talked about a really weird instance that she had experienced where she lived. They had this friend of theirs, and this guy was just a really cool guy, and everybody liked him. He had this big group of friends, and then he got into an accident, and I guess he was teetering on life and death in the hospital. But she said that he came to her in a vision or in a dream and said, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry I had to go, but, I love you and take care." And she was like, but then he was still at the hospital and was eventually released. So she's like, "I don't know what's going on there." And I was like, "Are you sure that the person released was the same person that went in there?" And she was like, she got the big eyes. And she said, "You know what, that's interesting, because after he was released from the hospital, he suddenly cut off all of his friendships, wouldn't talk to anybody that he was really buddies with before, and ended up moving to someplace absolutely different, and just moved away, dropped off the face of the earth." And they were all perplexed by that. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think the person that left the hospital was the same person that you knew. And was that a demonic thing? I don't know. Could it have been a human thing? Sure, I guess it's possible. All we know is we can speculate this, of course. There's no right or wrong answers, but I love the amount that you guys contribute to these discussions, because you all have phenomenal points and great insights into this phenomena that I think we're all curious about. So thank you all to everybody who participated. Yeah, that was a strange one, Diane, and it was.
That's so creepy.
It is. I mean, when I said that, her face just dropped. I mean, like her eyes got big, and I was like, and then she looked at her boyfriend, and he was wide-eyed too, like, oh. So, yeah, is it possible? Yeah, maybe. But in a very roundabout way, that's I guess what I think about it.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, isn't it? Never mind. I forgot what I was going to say. Continue.
well, thank you, Sheldon. I appreciate that.
Disappeared.
Well, thank you to everybody that participated in those discussions, and we'll put up another one tonight for tomorrow's show as well. So if you're not already getting involved in those, please get involved. And did anybody in the chat say anything, Sheldon?
They're just talking a lot of puns.
Poems?
Puns.
Oh, puns. Oh, okay.
Oh, never mind. T-Boy says, perfect possession is how my uncle would get. He even acted like that spirit when he was himself, in quotes.
Yeah.
It was difficult to tell them apart personality-wise. Their eyes looked a lot different, though.
Right.
And that's interesting, too, is if there are signs that manifest in the physical, if that happens.
Well, I mean, this is a phenomenon that's often experienced by spirit mediums, the people that channel spirits, and it affects them on a profound level. In that, even it's legitimate when you're looking at the person, and it doesn't really look like the person you know anymore. Like they take on behaviorisms, mannerisms, the way that they talk. Sometimes the structure of their face seems to change, as you know, because I mean, we all have a muscle memory or whatever that's a part of us, the way that we smile, the way that we wink and look, and using our hands when we talk, that kind of stuff. And so it's commonly experienced by mediums, but that's a very controlled possession. Like the medium is always in charge of that. So they're allowing this to come through, but they're also able to control and push it out at will or break that connection. But yeah, I mean, that's another part, is the physical characteristics in these things can definitely be a key to letting you know that something changed, something's different. So very weird. Strange stuff. But thank you again. I appreciate your contribution, T. Bowie. And I bought a book that I thought was about Aleister Crowley. It was his writings. I got rid of it because I was feeling not right in the head. Yeah, that's the other part. Certainly attachments can be objects as well, and sometimes published works. You never know. Especially someone like Crowley, it wouldn't surprise me if he put a few hooks in his things just to see where it would end up or where it would go. So, yeah.
That name's so familiar.
Aleister Crowley? Yeah, he was a magician, occultist from the turn of the century, 20s, that kind of thing. 1920s.
Oh, is that like basically Crowley in Supernatural that's being depicted?
I don't know, maybe loosely, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was supposed to be based on Aleister Crowley or not. Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe. I mean, it is more than curious that he had an English accent and was kind of a shorter, I don't know, pudgy guy. So that would be consistent with the way Crowley looked, I think. But yeah, maybe. That's a great point. He was the Crossroads demon from Supernatural. Yeah,
yep.
that turned out taking over hell. Yeah, I remember that. I like Supernatural, for the record. I don't think you can actually learn something about the supernatural from it, but it is kind of cool. Just a fun show.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed it. But anyway, let's get to some other paranormal stuff that I've got on deck for you guys, because that's how we roll here on the portal. We're going to get to an article that we've worked through a few of them, and this is from thoughtcatalog.com, and it's Stefani Shaner is the author, and it's from 2020, March 11th, 2020. Paranormal investigators reveal their most bone-chilling experiences with the other side. So, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I've been having a couple weird experiences here lately. I got to re-smudge the house. It's getting heavy.
Want to share with the class?
Nah, it's nothing I can really quantify yet. And what had happened is so bizarre. I don't know how to explain it and make it make sense, but I know it was weird and really wild. And it kind of was like, hey, wait, that's not right. That shouldn't happen. And, but it was very subtle. It was very, very subtle. So I was like, I almost missed it. But then I was like, wait a minute, what? that shouldn't have moved. so,
Oh,
yeah, but as things develop, if it continues to, I don't ever let it develop that much. Like when weird things start happening, I give the house a good cleanse because, I really believe that by talking about this stuff, as much as I do research it and diving into it, that it does create a magnetism. I really believe that it does. And then weird things start to happen. So it happens from time to time. But anyway, let's get to this article. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there. But this is from Thought Catalog. We were on number 7, and it says, as an early paranormal investigator, I use investigation equipment in my own home. Particularly this apartment I share with my fiance for about 2 years. Overall, the spirits were pretty friendly and went about their own business, although a number of spooky things would happen every once in a while if I hadn't addressed them in some time. We were used to this. Then one summer, everything seemed to change. There was about a 2-week period where there was so much activity happening in our bedroom when we were trying to fall asleep that we just couldn't. Laying there in the dark, there would be creaking in the doorway. I originally thought it was the door being pushed that was causing the creaking sound, and upon further investigation, the door didn't creak at all, but the floorboards and the threshold were creaky when the weight shifted on them. As if the sound where we were hearing at night was someone standing there just looking at us. Things were being touched, tapped, flicked all over the room, enough to hear it. And I had a large knick-knack shelf that had fallen off the wall twice and was laying on my dresser with all the decor still in it. After many nights of noises coming from this shelf, I emptied it and put it in a corner of the room. I also placed all the decor in a pile on my dresser and surrounded it with small pieces of selenite just because it didn't work. Just because. It didn't work. That was 2 sentences, sorry. That night, the shelf fell over, and the next day, the selenite was moved like someone had flicked it across the table. The energy overall was different from everything we were used to. It felt negative. Laying there without the covers on, suddenly I felt the need to cover up. Waves of energy would rush up on us while we were laying there with our eyes closed, and in the daylight, I tried to investigate, asking who it was, why it would only bother us at night, and I never got any clear answers to this. Then one day, it just stopped, and I realized the timing of it all. We lived in a 2-family home on the 2nd floor. Our downstairs neighbors were just an elderly man and his caretaker, but during those few weeks, the caretaker's adult daughter and child came to stay with them. It wasn't a good situation, and we eventually saw the police and social workers escort her away. And this is when I realized that whatever that energy was must have been attached to her. We didn't experience it again after that, and it opened my eyes to the possibility that a haunting might not necessarily be spirits attached to a certain place or an object, but it could be your neighbor's negative attachment coming into your space causing havoc. That was by Natasha Dominguez, founder of Spectral Visions Paranormal USA. Wow.
Oh.
That's a fascinating discussion. And here's the thing. I know there's differing opinions out there, and so bear with me when I say this, but I don't think it's wise to investigate your own place, because I think that spiritual activity requires an acquiescence it needs some sort of permission. And that's why hauntings don't start out with, hey, things are flying across the room. They start out really subtly. And I think it's I don't know why, and I don't know the rules of how this is, but there does seem to need to be some sort of acquiescence or allowing of it to happen. Now, I think oftentimes that acquiescence comes in the form of fear, because if you are afraid, then you are disempowered. You are acknowledging that something has power over you. Now, don't conflate being startled with being afraid. Everybody gets startled. But being afraid of something, you are essentially surrendering to it. So I think that is the way that oftentimes, negative hauntings progress. Starts out real weird and unusual, and then things startle and start happening, and the people that are experiencing it feel like, oh my God, this is going on. I can't see it. I don't know what's going on. I can't make it go away. I'm helpless. I feel alone and weak, and that is a surrender. The other kind of acquiescence or allowing it to happen can come from engaging, can come from, oh, I'm going to do an EMF session. Is there anyone here with me? What is your name? What is, why are you here? So I'll get into this more on the way back after the break. The break kind of snuck up, but I think it's an important point. We'll get back at it and more when we come back here on the Paranormal Portal.
Stay.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking gas. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Sorry that we ran into the break, but we're back, and we'll do another break, and that'll be the last break for the night. But yeah, we're into hour number 2 now, so thank you if you're just joining us. Thank you so much, or if you've been here for a while, thank you so much, and make sure that you're subscribed. If you're new to the show, we'd love to have you stick around and become part of the family. But I was talking about, just before the break, how I think it's risky to investigate your own house due to the story we were just reading. Again, I think that spiritual activity requires some sort of permission. It requires an acquiescence from us. It's why, again, to repeat myself, why hauntings don't start out just bam, all of a sudden your couch is flying. Start with subtle things and to startle and make you nervous, and I don't think it's always negative. I don't mean to imply that. I think most hauntings are very benign. I think they are just the presences of people that may have been in your area or space before, whether, attached to the land or attached to the home or whatever. And there's any number of reasons why a presence can be there, but I'm speaking mostly about the negative ones. Being afraid is one way, because of course you are submitting to whatever's making you afraid. And I think that empowers and emboldens the activity. Now, the other way, I think that by investigating EMF, mostly EVPs and ghost boxes and stuff like that, you're asking questions. So you are implicitly giving permission to something to be there, not only be there, but to communicate with you. And so that is, in a sense, it's creating a permission, for lack of a better term, for them to be active and be present in your space. One of the oldest ways that I know of that people suggested to get rid of a spirit that's bugging you is to absolutely ignore it. Do not acknowledge anything. No matter what happens, ignore it. And the idea is that some spirits, I guess, are looking for acknowledgement. They're looking for you to know that they're there. And when you ignore them, they may go on to whatever else there is. But and I certainly believe that can be very effective. It depends. All of this depends very much on the type of entity and the intensity of the entity. But I think, generally speaking, whenever you believe you have a presence, if you're not comfortable with it, let it know. Just claim your space. You empower yourself. You are not allowed to be here if you are negative and dark and wish to do anyone harm. You are not allowed to scare anybody. You are not allowed to, bother my pets or my children or whatever. And you lay down the law. And 99% of the time, the activity will subside, or at least, go along with what you're saying. Now, there is another way that some people in negative hauntings have successfully mitigated that and made that a lot more livable. And these are stories where people had, intense activity going on, very frightening, scary stuff. And they decided in one story in particular, they decided to give this unknown entity. They couldn't figure out who it was, why it was there, but it was very much there and very much destructive and, throwing things off the walls, that kind of stuff. And so they didn't know what to do. They tried everything they knew and nothing worked. So they named it. They named it Charlie. And they started this ritual. where they would acknowledge Charlie every time they came in. Hey, Charlie, just got home, man. Had a hell of a day at work, but whew, I'm just glad to be back. Hope you had a good day. Hey, Charlie, I'm leaving, heading to the store. Be back in a little bit. And suddenly, by that acknowledgement, by that, maybe that's the big thing for that spirit. It was acknowledgement. It's like, this is my house. What are you doing here? You're not allowed to be here. Well, they acknowledged it. They made it a part of their day, and the haunting activity went down to nothing. So perhaps that's another way. And that's not encouraging communication. That's not encouraging anything. But in this case, it worked out okay for them. I guess it's believe what you want again, but I'm just sharing my thoughts on this stuff that I think investigating can be, implicit permission, and you can build an intensity of a haunting by doing that. Many times I've had people reach out to me and it's like, I got something going on in my house. I don't know what it is, but I've been doing EVP sessions trying to get a voice or something. It's like, ooh.
You're asking for it.
Don't do that. You don't know who you're talking to. Just don't do that. I mean, that's my own personal opinion. I've talked to investigators like our good friend Mike Hetzel. He's investigated his house many times and says he's never had any problem with it. And good for him. I'm not saying that my answer is the only one, but it's the one that makes sense to me. It goes along with a lot of things that I've been taught and learned through the years. So believe what you want, though. So anyway.
Andrea Purity said, like my house, first, my feelings of being watched, then shadow figure in the corner of my eye, then shadow figure standing over me, then scratching, gradual buildup.
Yeah.
Heard 2 taps on my bedroom door 2 weeks ago, nothing since then, thankfully.
Good. Oh, good. I'm glad. Android's been calling in periodically, sharing updates about his situation. But I'm glad that's finally settling down for you, brother. That's kind of creepy stuff. But
yeah, no kidding.
Again, I think that by virtue of there's a lot of people that are watching. It's hard to turn on a TV anymore and not see a ghost show somewhere. And I love that. I love that when I had cable or dish, I could just turn on the TV, find, reruns of Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, whatever, different shows that I would be watching. But I think that's, whatever, when you're extraordinarily investing time and energy into learning about things or watching things like that, I think there is a magnetism that happens. So don't be surprised if something finds you. I'm just putting it out there. So have you ever,
may not be what you're looking for.
The unknown. Have you ever done the Ouija board? Yes, I have. And I've shared my feelings on Ouija board many times. Now I will tell you this, that when I used the Ouija board, I think the last time I ever used one was when I was like 18 years old. And it was a long, long time ago. Now, I'm not one of those people that think, oh, the Ouija board is very dangerous. Don't touch it. I think it can be dangerous. And I think that the problem with the Ouija board is that it's an oracle of sorts. And it's an oracle that you use yourself as a conduit. And I think that's the danger of a Ouija board, is that you are creating a blind channel of yourself. You're holding onto this piece of plastic with a board and saying, you're basically saying, come through me. So it's like the short path to real problems if something negative is there. But I think Ouija boards can be used correctly. I think they can be used constructively and safely. But it's not by following the directions on the box. You've got to know a lot more about it. There's a lot of esoteric practices that deal with communicating with spirits, and I'm talking occult or other practices like perhaps witchcraft or Wiccan that deal with communing with spirits and Druidism and several other shamanism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not a practice that's, hey, here's how you do it. Go ahead. People that are in these, I don't know what you want to call them, into these schools of thought, they work for a long time before they get to that point. There's a build up to all of that you don't just go, hey, I'm going to see if I can contact an angel, or something dark. I'm not advocating that in any means at all, but just hear me out, that in those practices, people have to work through a series of years and steps to get to the point where they actually do engage in those kind of practices. A Ouija board, you go to the store, you pick it up, and it's got about 5 lines of information, and you go talk to grandma. It's like, no.
Yeah, seriously.
No. there's a lot more to it. There's the environmental factors, there's the personal factors, there's protections, there's, ways to safeguard your area from dark things so that that's not what's coming through. So anyway, and I'm not advocating anybody use a Ouija board. I think it's best if you don't know how to use one appropriately, then don't mess with them. It's better to treat it as something horrible. But
yeah, the best way to use a Ouija board is the way Dad uses it, which is decoration behind him. That's the best way.
That's the decoration on the wall. That's just me. But anyway, I don't mean to speak like I'm, got this all sorted out. I don't. But I think that there's enough cautionary tales to go, yeah, that's something you shouldn't toy with.
A good question coming in from chat that Ghostmate says, are EVPs the new Ouija board? And I would even add on to it and ask, do you think you have to, put on the same protections as you would a Ouija board, or is it a different kind of communication?
So anytime you're investigating spirit stuff, you should be protecting yourself. You should be doing it through prayers, through ritual, through your religious practices, through whatever you observe spiritually is what you should do to ask for protection and to be safe. I don't believe that that EVPs are the same thing, because EVPs are using a recorder, and you can be holding it, or you can leave it on a table, or you can put it on a chair, you can put it across the room, you can leave it in a room and come back and find that it was recording some voices or things that weren't there to your knowledge. The difference between investigating with a tool like that and a Ouija board is that the Ouija board requires you are the conduit. You have to sit there, you have to touch this piece of plastic, and you are essentially creating a circuit of yourself for this other intelligence to come through. And that's the danger, because you don't have to be a conduit for an EVP. You just turn it on and hold it out there, or just set it down, and you don't have to be connected to it in any other way. So I don't believe that they're one in the same. I know I've heard that comparison before, but the Ouija board, you are the channel, you're the conduit, you are the connection, you and whoever that is doing it with you. And I also wouldn't advocate using them alone personally, but that's me. But you are the connection. And so that you are automatically inviting some energy to come into you and through you and interact on this board. And that's the danger. So
yeah,
that's my fear, or consideration for them. I don't want to say fear, but you know what I mean? Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts. I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, thank you for all the questions. I appreciate that. I'm happy to have discussions with you guys. I'll share with you what I think. And again, I might be right, I might be wrong, but this is just what I've come to learn and understand about this phenomena. And I'm happy to share it with you guys. So let's see. Any other questions? No? The phone lines are also open. Yes, there is. Okay.
The Unknown asks, are there certain prayers that you pray or say, or any prayer that will protect you?
Again, it would be whatever you believe in. So if you're Christian, use Christian prayers, like the calling the Archangel Michael, the Archangel's prayer, or whatever it is. I forget the name. There's a name for it. Or just saying a prayer, the Lord's Prayer, for Christianity. If you're Muslim, or if you practice Islam, use Islamic prayers. If you are Hindu, use Hindu prayers. Whatever's the important thing is that, the beauty of religions and faith is that it becomes powerful through you, through your faith. And that was something that Jesus spoke of at length. Even if you had the faith of this mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, remove and fall into the sea, or whatever. I'm probably bastardizing that quite badly, but the point is that it is your faith in something that makes it powerful. A cross is just a piece of wood, but it becomes powerful when that piece of wood represents the suffering and sacrifice of the Messiah. That's when it becomes powerful. So it's not powerful in and of itself. It's powerful when you create that connection, and it becomes powerful. Any other icon is the same way. Even with talismans and things like that, they have to be charged. They have to be through faith and through practices. So they're not powerful in and of themselves. They become powerful when they are imbued with faith or through energetic practices to empower them. So whatever resonates with you, I would say there isn't one prayer or anything that's better than anything else. It's whatever you believe in. That's what is powerful. So if you believe that this pen was a gift from the divine hand of God, this pen would become incredibly powerful because your faith empowers it. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's what I believe.
I concur. Android Purity says also don't buy a used Ouija board if you want one for decoration. Then I say buy a brand new to make sure it doesn't have an attachment.
I was at the pet shelter in our town has a thrift store attached to it where people donate stuff, and I found a Ouija board and I almost bought it just because. I would of course make sure it was safe, but
cleanse it. Yes.
I was going to hang another one in here and to see what Don said, but he hates those things. So, but I almost did buy it. I thought, well, no, I if it's on a store shelf like that, a secondhand store, there's a reason it's on that store shelf because whoever had it didn't want it in their house anymore for whatever reason. Now it could be just people are freaked out by stuff like that and like, get that crap out of my house. Or they could have had a bad conversation with, some dark prince or something. I don't know. So,
dark prince. Oh, geez. Going big time.
Yeah. You just don't know. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. Android, don't buy used Ouija boards. If you do buy them, you have to know how to cleanse them. So a Ouija board is a portal. You're creating a portal. It's a connection. It's a channel. And rubbing a piece of plastic over goodbye does not close that. I don't care. I mean, maybe your belief in it makes it somewhat work, but that is not how you close any kind of communal, I don't want to say seance necessarily, but when you open a portal, don't open portals you don't know how to close. Is my point. A lot of people use what the hell is it? Reiki. Reiki is a very powerful energetic practice. And there are practices in Reiki for closing portals and doing things like that. There's many different practices around the world for that kind of thing. But you can also do it through prayer, through holy water, through things like that. You don't have to practice some obscure esoteric art. It can just be, again, your faith. Can a Ouija get an attachment? Surely. Absolutely. In that, I think it becomes a portal. It becomes an active portal. So I don't know that a spirit could attach to it, or it could just remain an active portal, even when you put it back in the box because you said goodbye on the plastic. It doesn't close it, and so it still remains an active portal that maybe something dark will find its way through. I don't know. And then, yeah, so I do believe that they can. But yeah, I guess thank you for the questions. Those are my opinions. Again, it's anybody's guess, but those are what I think. So
great answers. Yes.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. All right. So let's go back to the article that we were reading, and we're on number 8. These are, again, 11 paranormal investigators reveal their most bone-chilling experiences with the other side. Number 8. We were investigating an old jail. Yeah.
Here we go.
Remember those warning areas? The old jails are definitely a big one. That has since been turned into a museum in Colorado. It was the team and I, as well as the museum shop employee, who were all in the building at the time. There is a basement to that jailhouse that is very cold and pitch black. In the basement, there are 2 wide open rooms, as well as a smaller room that was called the ice room. It gets the name because it really is ice cold in there. And during the wintertime, it is where dead bodies would be stored. When the ground was so cold, it was too difficult to dig graves, so the jailhouse would store the deceased inmates' bodies in the ice room until the weather warmed up enough to dig up the graves. There were 2 groups in this basement doing investigative sessions. One was near the ice room, and the other was in a wide-open storage room, which is the group I was assigned to. Both groups had to speak quietly so as not to disturb each other, as we were all fairly close together. While doing a flashlight session with my group, we started asking questions and got a response. Yeah, the flashlight sessions are really powerful. I got video of when Charles and I were at the hotel in Spokane and got some awesome responses. When asked if the spirit communicating with us was an inmate, the flashlight started strobing. So we knew it could have very well been an inmate who passed away in the jail, seeing as we were in the basement, and suddenly we hear very distinct violin music coming from the room next to us, where the other group was. We all jumped up and ran over to them to see where it was coming from. The ice room group looked at us with a confused look on all of their faces. They said none of them heard the music at all. My group said that would be impossible because the music was so loud and distinct. How could we have heard it, but they couldn't? Well, the session time was up and it was time to rotate groups. We went back upstairs to the main floor and I was chatting with the shop clerk about what had happened, and she laughed and said she was not surprised. After all, while researching old jail records, she learned that there had been an inmate who was a very talented violinist. That was by Anonymous from Colorado, USA. Yep, that would explain it. Now, the sound phenomena, it doesn't surprise me either, because I think oftentimes with spirits, it's not so much as of an audio phenomena as much as it is almost a telepathic phenomena. So the fact that these people were hearing that, thought they were hearing it, they could even tell a direction it was coming from. So, but obviously it wasn't an actual sound vibration because the other people in the other room where the sound was allegedly coming from could not hear it. So was that a telepathic kind of thing? Maybe. Very interesting. That's very, very interesting. You hear that all the time. People having auditory hallucinations. And I don't mean hallucination like there's something wrong in their head and they thought they heard something, but somehow that is imprinted in them to hear and react to sounds like that. And, it makes sense, I guess. All right, so next up is number 9. Last year, we visited the Cadby Tunnel, located in the outskirts of Doncaster in the UK. The tunnel has reports of a ghostly girl who appears to you after calling out for the Mexborough Ragger. She's believed to be a gypsy girl who had been hit by a train in the tunnel after selling rags at the local market during the 1800s and had died. Her mom is said to have cursed the tunnel and all those who dared to call upon her nickname. We investigated the tunnel and had heard knocks and sounds coming towards the back of the tunnel at times, but it was otherwise a relatively quiet night. We headed out of the tunnel and our medium, Chrissy, who was sensing a man standing and watching us from above the tunnel. We did some more investigating and nothing really materialized, and we decided to call it a night and headed back toward the cars. We started to do a protection ritual on us leaving. We stood around, Chrissy began to speak, and I could hear walking coming from all around us. I opened my eyes, but nothing was there, so I shut them again, and once more I heard walking. So opened my eyes again, nothing was there. The third time I heard it, I opened my eyes and saw a torchlight and the figure of a man standing at the top of the path just near our cars. I said to the others, "Someone's here." The man stood there, then shouted, "Police!" and started to head towards my car. Chrissy shouted back, "What?" And he again shouted, "I'm the police." We started to walk to our cars, and as we did, Chrissy shouted back at him, "Have you got ID?" There was no answer. We watched him walk from the top of the hill to my car, and he shined his torch directly into my car before he simply disappeared. When we reached the cars, he was nowhere in sight. The cars were surrounded by brambles, so he couldn't have sneaked off into them. He hadn't ran back up the hill because we would have seen him. I checked under the car, around the cars, and even looked for parked cars nearby to see if there was a way he could have gone. But there wasn't. We were then left questioning who or what we had seen. I was quite shaken, and my thoughts were, if this was a real person, where could he have possibly gone, and were we in danger? I went back home and I asked a historian I know to look into the area for me, and what he came back with was quite amazing. A man had died in the construction of the tunnel in the 1800s and fell from the top of the tunnel. Not just that, but in later years, numerous murderers and suicides took place around the wooded area on the tunnel, meaning that a reenactment of a police officer running up wouldn't be out of the norm. I also spoke to the local police, who stated that an officer wouldn't have been located in that area at that time on his own, and if he was indeed a police officer, he would have approached us further. The possibility that I'd just seen my first apparition seemed more and more likely. My instinct was confirmed further when a local paranormal team approached me and said they had also seen a man in the same area. Maybe prior to this experience, I was too naive to think a ghost could come across so strong and as solid as we are, and could interact with us as good as he did. This leaves one question now, though, and that is, if ghosts can look as solid and physical as they did in life, how do we really know that we have seen a ghost? Ooh. That was by Charlene Lowe Kemp, Paranormal Hauntings, Nottingham, UK. All right, last break, folks. We'll be right back, and we're going to dive into some cryptid reports, so get ready for the creatures coming up next here on the Portal. Don't go away.
Number 3, life is worthwhile if you stay.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sheldon, are you here?
I am here.
We're channeling you, Sheldon. Are you here? No. I'm glad you're here, buddy. Have you seen Portal Mom tonight?
Yeah, she was in here earlier.
Okay, good. Well, then she's listening. Just wondering. And a special hello to Jimmy from Michigan, who I hear is out there listening as well. Good to have you aboard, brother. And I'll expect you to get subscribed if you're not already. But yeah, very cool. I'm hearing.
If you like what you're seeing, hit that like button.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit the like and subscribe and ring the bell. You'll know every time we go live. You should get notifications. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the idea. We do have a call, so let's get to the call and find out just what's going on here. You ready for a call, Sheldon?
Absolutely.
All right, area code 228. You're on the air.
Well, good evening. This is 7 and 12 Pearl. How are you tonight?
Hi, 7 and 12.
How do I sound? How's my audio, Brent?
Oh, you're good. You sound great. Thank you.
Well, there's some nights I've called in and then re-listened to the conversation later, and people really needed to put on earplugs because it was way too loud.
Oh, well, I mean, you're definitely broadcasting where people can hear you. I mean, I can hear you very well. So, some people don't talk loud at all.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hello to everyone out there listening. Brent,
Yeah.
I really want to thank you for creating awareness, not only in the topic of cryptids, but in the topic of, in many esoteric topics. You are creating awareness. I find it very good that you are quick to kind of, it's not that you're instructing people on how and what to do as they're being curious, but at least you're giving them a few precautions that you yourself have experienced. And that's a wonderful thing to do, because in these times that we live in, it's my, I think that it's, the more we talk about paranormal topics, the more we may be actually experiencing them. And it's not a matter of conjuring it all up. It's really a matter of, we live in some strange times where it's just happening more and more to people. People are noticing it more. And so in the creating of awareness of the topics, and sometimes how to deal with it, and giving a few pointers is very instrumental in keeping people safe.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. I mean, I think it's important that part of the show is to share information, and I can't tell you that I'm absolutely right about any of this, but I just think it's better to tell you what I know than to not share those things and have you stumble into something terrible. I think there's a lot of cautionary tales in the paranormal. There's a lot of scary tales. And so, I don't know. I just think an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Isn't that the old saying?
Any day of the week. And I'd like to roll back time just a little to Medellin Falls, your trip to Medellin Falls.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember if I had the dream before or after Medellin Falls. I just can't remember. But, folks, I had a dream, and if I may talk about that candidly, Brent, with your permission, I'd like to do so.
Oh, sure. That was Coloma, though, wasn't it, when I was going to the ghost town that you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. It's
Yep.
Coloma.
Yep.
Because the hill is on my mind.
Okay.
Okay, it flashed into my mind tonight, and folks, I had a dream about this hill in Coloma, and I can't remember if it was before Brent went or after he had visited there, but the dream was, it dealt with Brent in the dream, my brother in the dream. My brother has passed on since then, but it was somewhat foreboding, in that part of the dream, we had crawled up the embankment of the hill, and because we were going to all go squatching the next day, and my brother discovered we didn't need to. We just needed to crawl up to the top of the hill. in the dream, and he and I had crawled up and looked over the top of the hill to another ridge and saw the hill that Brett has in his video of Coloma. You may be able to recognize there was a hill there, and for those of you who are sensitive to picking up things, whether it's on video, whether you call it remote viewing or not, you may sense some sort of, you may pick up on some things there too. But as we peeked over the top of the hill, there were hundreds of Sasquatch, and they were all standing there, and they were doing that familiar, what people describe sometimes, where they rock from side to side, just looking. Mm-hmm. And there were like hundreds of them standing at the top of that hill, rocking from side to side. And it was a very frightening dream in that I didn't know what they were preparing for,
Sure.
And I don't think I was just spooked by the trip you made to Coloma. I think it was just a message that came through, and to this day, every now and then, that thought pops into my head, and if I roll back time to Coloma, would you tell the audience what you experienced there?
Well, just to clarify, you called me and shared this before the trip. Then you were telling me, please be careful.
Okay.
And I appreciate that, of course.
Okay, so I warned you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so went to Coloma a couple times, but I think it was before the second trip was when this happened. But when I was there, the first time I think was really intense. There was because it was just two of us. Of course, Duke and his team were there for one of the nights, but then the second night, Dan Pruitt and myself were alone on top of this mountain in this ghost town, all by ourselves, and it was incredibly intense. And the video of that is actually up in the investigations playlist for those of you on YouTube. You can check it out. But we're investigating in the dead of night up there on the top of this mountain, miles and miles away from anywhere, any help and anything. It was just us in his pickup truck. And doing some investigating with ghost investigating. Primarily, we were looking. We weren't actively looking for Bigfoot, but of course there's been plenty of encounters. People have seen them up there, so that was always part of the possibility. But we ended up doing a bunch of EVP sessions and instrumental transcommunication with different devices to try to capture things and. Those are also on the playlists, and this is both times that we did this, and we got some incredibly profound results. Again, sounds that aren't on the plays. The sounds banks that I was using was it would create, like, they were basically syllabic sounds. So it would be like the or th and and it would do like just partial words at best. So anytime you're using that, if full words come through, something's not right. And it's always in a different voice than what you're used to from the sound bank. And so we got some pretty incredible sounds, including one where we're up in this abandoned cabin. It's an old dilapidated hunter's cabin in that area. And we're alone again on the mountain. And there's only little like that sounds like that coming through. Some of them are different voices, but that's more just part of the whole bank of sounds. But suddenly, this woman crying comes through, and it's this woman crying, like desperately crying. And it's the most heartbreaking sound I think I've ever heard. And that came up a few times while we were up there, but only for moments, and then it was gone and back to the normal sound bank. Another one that came through was the sound of some guy sounding like this, going bang, bang, bang. And it was like, in my mind, I was picturing somebody with their hands making a gun gesture going bang, bang, like that's what came to me, and whether intuitively or creatively, I don't know. But it was like really uncomfortable. And when the darkness hit up there, it was like pitch darkness. There was like no light at all, just a few stars. And the way that the whole world closed in on us up there was just intimidating as hell. But it was an incredible experience. I'm really glad that I did it, and Dan and I both had a great time. And then the next year, several of the listeners from the show here came along too, including MCAT and Titan, and Justin Goodearth was there, and Gigi and a bunch of others. So it was like a lot of amazing participation. But we just had a really good time. So that's basically what happened through both journeys.
And it was incredible. I mean, I watched each and every video, and I'm glad you could remember if I had the dream before you went or after. I appreciate that validation on that, because, you know, I reach out to people when something, you know, I know if I have a dream like that, I will reach out to a person and tell them about it, you know, or warn them in any way that I can.
Well,
I'm on my porch.
I will say that
I heard something.
Oh, did you? Okay. I will say that in the first,
I'm okay.
In the first video, when I was putting it together for a clip, I was going through the footage, and it's actually something that I sent to Duke and said, Duke, check this out. And basically, I'm sitting on the next to the car, and I'm panning around with my phone, and I kind of turned just in a circle, and I didn't see it at the time. But when I was rewatching the footage back home, you'll see a big shadow standing up on the ridge above me and then ducking down. And that's on video, and I can provide the clip. Or I don't know. I don't think I isolated it for myself, but it's on World Bigfoot Radio. But I can provide that clip too if anybody wants to see what I saw. It was very tense.
Well,
yeah, I was just like, oh my God.
To me, that was a very scary place.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and I'm just one of your viewers, but to me, that was a very scary place.
Sure.
And, you know, that dream, my mind goes back to the dream of those Sasquatch standing on the hill and swaying back and forth. And they were ready for something. I kind of wonder, you know, because it's an old mine, right? And a mining town. And I kind of wondered if there was some sort of conflict back in time with the Sasquatch and the miners. I kind of wonder if you know, my mind really did go to that thought. And, you know, maybe one day you can just talk to Deborah about it, you and her, and maybe she can remote view something to, you know, Deborah is just wonderful and great at what she does. Yeah. Maybe she can pick up on some of that and clarify. You know, I'm just so curious about it. But, you know, when I have a dream and I'm so compelled to tell someone, look, I had a dream, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I'm the kind of person that if I see something and I say, please don't get on your motorcycle today, or please don't go to work today, I have very good, strong reasons for saying it.
Right.
You know, it's a matter of trying to keep someone out of harm's way. But that place, Brent, that place is spooky. My vibes, I picked up, you know, and then when I watched the videos, oh my gosh, you know, I'd have flashbacks of that dream, and I'd watch the video, and then my mind would reel back of, you know, to wondering just what happened in that town.
Yeah.
You know, it was an old mining establishment.
Sure.
You know, and obviously, to me, the Sasquatch were around then. They're still around there now, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but it was the ominousness of them standing on that hill, rocking back and forth, and they were readying for something. And I will probably forever wonder, was I seeing something that happened in the past, or was I having a premonition about what may come? And in creating awareness, you know, in the times we live, there are so many more people reporting cryptids, reporting ghosts, reporting UFOs, and it's great that we can feel free and have forums in which we can talk about it. and not be ridiculed and, persecuted for it. But to me, Brent, it just seems like it's not just that people are talking about it more, it's the occurrences and the events are happening more and more as well.
Sure.
And I can't say whether the veil is thinner or whether it's related to, religious beliefs of what is yet to come. I don't have all the answers.
Sure.
But I know that awareness is very important these days.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing that. Thank you. It was a nice walk down
one
memory
more
lane.
thought in discerning the spirits. People get very, very curious, and I was very grateful that, you were kind of giving some really good pointers, in discerning the spirits. Keep in mind, they're probably busy discerning and testing you as you're testing them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Hazel. I appreciate it so much. It's great to hear from you.
Well, God bless you all. We love you, and keep up the good work. And, and everybody out there, hope you're all well, and love to you all. Good vibes of love everywhere.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right. Good night.
Well, that's a trip down memory lane. Yeah, I'll try to find that clip. I see a few of you in the chatter. Yeah. Yes, please. Okay.
Yeah. Where's that clip?
Well, I really will have to dig for it again. It's in the video, but you'd have to know exactly where. And if you weren't knowing where to look, you'd never notice it. And I don't know why I noticed it, but once I saw it, it was just like, oh, wait a minute, what? I went back over it like 15 times in a row. I'm like, yeah, that's something definitely up there, then crouching down. And so, but it's really, it was so easy to miss. I think it was just because it was dark. It was a daylight shot, but it was dark enough. The figure was dark enough that I could discern the movements next to the lightness. And it was just, I almost didn't see it. And then I was like, wait a minute, what was that? And I went back and checked and then went back in the back. And I was like, oh my God, I think I found something.
So how many feet or yards was it from your position at that time?
It was probably like 60 yards away. It wasn't real close, but it was. But the next year, we went up there and figured out where it was standing, and it would have had to have been about 8 feet plus to have been visible the way that it was in that shot. So.
Oh man, that's got to be the freakiest thing too. You go through your events, and then you come back and looking at the footage. Oh my God, you could have.
The good part of that is that I went through that whole day not seeing anything, and into that night. Well, during the day it was when I caught that on the footage. I didn't know it. If I had known I'd caught that and then gone up there in the night, I would have been fudge striping that whole plateau up there. I would have been so nervous because I didn't see it until I got home and was in the safety of my own home. I was like, that stuff. That's why, the biggest part about paranormal investigating is you got to check every foot, every inch of audio, of video. You got to look for subtle changes and then try to debunk what's happening. And it's not just as simple as, oh, look, there's an apparition. Clip that. Done. Let's put that aside and get to the next one. You got to look at it. Then you've got to look at the situation, and you've got to look where any lighting is coming from and see if there's any explanation that you can find for what you're seeing. And oftentimes it's so subtle, if you're not looking really carefully, you'll miss it. I can't tell you how many people have caught these weird faces leaning out in shadows where there's no way they could be there. And they could be photoshopped. I'm not saying that they're absolutely legitimate, but I think a lot of footage works that way. Like, these things are very subtle. They're very sneaky. And maybe they weren't even visible with the naked eye, but the camera picks up a wider range of light and caught it, So maybe it did happen in front of people and they didn't see it until they looked back at the footage and went, wait, what? Much like I did. I don't know. But when I took that shot, it was just a panning scenery shot. I wasn't really focusing on anything other than trying to hold my phone still and steady so that it would be a nice shot. So I wasn't looking like, as I was doing it, like, what am I catching? I was just going, hold it steady, don't bump into something or do something stupid like that. So I was more just getting footage. So anyway, very interesting.
You said it was dark, so it was around nighttime or nighttime?
No, it was daytime when I caught the shadow thing ducking down. I didn't know I caught it, but that night, Dan and I were alone on that mountain, and we're sitting there doing EVP and voice and trying to do instrumental transcommunication with things, and no lights other than the bed of his pickup truck, the little lights that are shining back on the bed.
Oh.
That was it. Otherwise, it's an ocean of blackness. And
God.
It was.
I see what you mean.
It was absolutely intimidating. I wasn't scared, but I will tell you that all of my senses were on high alert. I was just like, just really hyper alert. And it didn't, even the little, I had this pocket flashlight, which was good for like 15 feet. And so it's like, I'll see the bear just as he's coming in for my throat. This is great.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I'm going to get one of those lamps that give you a sunburn next time. It's going to be like,
a mini sun in your pocket. Yeah,
exactly. That's gonna be my next investigating light. So I'll dig that up, folks. I will look for it and try to clip it for you so that it's something maybe we can show on the show or as a standalone clip, maybe even. So we'll put it up there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll.
Did you?
Go ahead.
Did you ever get the feeling you were being watched that night?
All the time, but I didn't know that it was legitimate or if it was just being freaky because it was in absolute blackness, knowing there's no help around. So I can't say I definitely had the feeling I was being watched, but I just definitely had the feeling that we weren't alone up there. And that could be spiritual presences as well, because it's a ghost town. I mean, there was plenty of things we were hearing that were not making sense. So we knew something was with us anyway. And every once in a while, a big growl would come through like, it's like, what?
Jeez.
It's on the video. If you watch the investigation videos, you'll see it. I mean, it's all recorded. It's there. I've thought about going back and reworking those into more comprehensive videos, because right now it's just like a big clip and I went, here's part of our investigation. I was very lazy back then, so I think I'll go back through that and try to put it in a comprehensive video with some explanation and things on screen. But again, it's all about time, but I'm doing the best I can, folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are down to about the 3-minute mark, and I did more talking tonight just about stuff than normally. We're usually just covering mostly stories. But thank you, Hazel, for calling in. That was really cool. Appreciate that, and thanks for jogging my memory about those things. There's so many things that I've experienced, both in my with the show. Oh, excuse me. And with, just with life, things that are always going on with the paranormal and the supernatural stuff. And I forget most of it, but then something will happen like that call. It's just like, oh yeah, I should try to put that together. So that's got me thinking about that investigation up in Coloma. And so we can definitely do that. Appreciate it a bunch. Maggie says, excellent show tonight. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Yeah, thanks for putting up with it, guys. I'm always hesitant to do a lot of talking like that because I don't want to ever come across as an expert, because I'm not. There is no such thing. But I'm happy to share my thoughts. But again, I don't want to sound preachy. I don't want to, take over the show and just make it a me experience, because the portal's never been a me experience. It's not about Brent Thomas at all. It's about all of us talking about this amazing stuff. So I'm glad you're receptive to it. I don't do that often. But if you have questions ever in the chats, just feel free and ask them. I will answer you, especially if I see it or Sheldon sees it. But I just, I've always been hesitant about getting, too autobiographical or too preachy, because I never wanted the show to be about me. I wanted it to be about the phenomena. So, but if you guys want to hear my thoughts, just ask the questions. I'm happy to answer them. And if you have any ideas for the questions of the week, we got another one coming up in just a little bit. We'll post on the Discord. If you're not already a member over there, please become a member. Sheldon, can you post that link again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll get that going. We'll try to get Sheldon back on the screen tomorrow too for the next show. I'm going to work on that tomorrow. There's got to be something that it's the software updated, and ever since then the connection hasn't worked right, and I don't know why. That's like, like every other software, when they update it, they move everything into different places, and that's like, look at our new product. It's like, no, you just move crap around. I don't know where anything is. So anyway, Sheldon, anything in closing?
Absolutely, guys. If you click that link and join up in Discord, you can join us in our questions of the week and other discussions that we have, along with all the links that people post. So go ahead and click that link if you want to join. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Well, you'll be back tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, tune in tomorrow night right here on YouTube or listen live on tfrlive.com, and that is at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 2-hour show tomorrow night again, and we'll be back at it with more of the Paranormal Portal. And just remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Remember, check out the Discord. If you're a member, look for that question of the week. It'll be coming up soon. Good night, everybody.